With 7 News. Just want to get your reaction to the murder of a woman in Fairfax County at the hands of allegedly an illegal immigrant. What is your reaction? Lieutenant Governor, what's your reaction to this murder in Fairfax County? No response.
This is the exact moment an elected official was asked about a preventable tragedy, and the silence is absolutely deafening. You need to see why this happened and how the warnings were completely ignored.
What do you have to say to the family of Stephanie Mentor, Lieutenant Governor?
Did you catch that? Not a single word. No thoughts and prayers. No, we're looking into it. Just total silence as she walks to her car. It's wild because the family of Stephanie Mentor is left picking up the pieces while the people in power won't even acknowledge the situation. Look at the reporter's face. He's literally chasing her for any kind of accountability, and she treats it like background noise. This isn't just a political gaffe. It's a complete breakdown of the relationship between the government and the citizens they are supposed to protect. When a tragedy is this high profile and linked to specific policy changes, you'd expect at least a prepared statement. Instead, the no response speaks volumes about the current priorities in Virginia. It makes you wonder if they're more afraid of the optics or if they genuinely don't have an answer for why this suspect was on the street.
Tonight we have proof that Fairfax County Police warned Fairfax County Commonwealth's Attorney Steve Descano's office over and over again about this illegal immigrant, Abdul Jallo, who has a lengthy criminal history in Fairfax County. Police told Descano's office that if he was released back into the community, he could harm someone again or even kill someone. So these emails lay out police concerns about this. And despite those warnings from police, Descano's office dropped charge after charge, allowing this man to walk free back into the community. Now, the first email was sent in May, then another in August, and finally in November, just 3 months before the murder of Stephanie Mentor last week. And that last email, a Fairfax County police major wrote to Descano's office, quote, "I wanted to bring Mr. Jallo's release to your attention because Mr. Jallo is one of the repeat and violent offenders we discussed when we met. I wanted to get your background on why he is out so soon and ask if his prior suspended sentence of, I believe, 5 years was pursued by your office. Unfortunately, based on the station's numerous dealings with him, it is not a question of if, but rather when he will maliciously wound or worse again."
This is where it gets truly infuriating. The police actually put it in writing. They sent emails months ago saying it wasn't a matter of if he would hurt someone, but when. Think about that for a second. The boots-on-the-ground officers were screaming into the void, telling prosecutors that this guy was a ticking time bomb. They even pointed out his escalating violent behavior. And what happened? The Commonwealth Attorney's Office just kept dropping charges. It's like watching a car crash in slow motion where the brakes were intentionally cut. You can see the internal documents right there on the screen. They had 100 encounters with this individual. 100. Most people don't have 100 encounters with the police in 10 lifetimes. To see those warnings ignored is a slap in the face to every resident in Fairfax County. It's the ultimate "I told you so," but with a body count attached. Take a look at this list because the numbers are staggering. 30 arrests, 40 charges, 5 malicious woundings. That isn't a rough patch or a misunderstanding. That is a career of violence. When you see malicious wounding on a record, that means there was an intent to cause serious bodily harm or death. And he did it 5 times before this final tragedy. It's hard to wrap your head around how someone with a rap sheet that looks like a CVS receipt for violent crimes is allowed to walk into a public bus stop. Notice the dates on the screen, too. The timeline shows a pattern of being released and immediately reoffending. It feels like the system is designed to protect the repeat part of repeat offender rather than the public. If 5 stabbing attempts don't keep you behind bars, what actually does? This graphic is the clearest evidence that the soft-on-crime approach has shifted from empathy to negligence.
An illegal immigrant with a long rap sheet charged in the fatal stabbing of a mother at a Virginia bus stop. The case is igniting outrage after the suspect was repeatedly released from custody despite warnings from police. Rich Edson has more from Washington on that for us. Hello, Rich.
Hi, good morning, Sandra. Newly surfaced emails show police warned last year that releasing this suspect would mean he'd hurt someone again or worse. They say that's what happened. Police now accuse Abdul Jalloh of murdering Stephanie Minter at a bus stop last month in Fairfax County, Virginia. Fox 5 in D.C. obtained internal county emails between police commanders and prosecutors, one from this past November where police questioned whether prosecutors could enforce a previously suspended sentence for Jalloh, someone they say had an extensive escalating history of violent criminal behavior, and that, quote, "It is not a question of if, but rather when he will maliciously wound or worse again."
This report sets the stage for the entire disaster. You've got a mother, Stephanie Mentor, just waiting for a bus in broad daylight when her life is taken. This is Fairfax County, an area that people usually consider safe and quiet. But the sanctuary policies mentioned here change the math for everyone living there. The reporter mentions how the case is igniting national outrage, and for good reason. It's the intersection of failed immigration enforcement and local prosecutorial failure. When you hear the anchor talk about the latest blow to these policies, she's referring to a pattern we're seeing across the country. It's not an isolated incident anymore. It's a systemic issue. The fact that this was preventable is what sticks in the throat of everyone following this story. It's one thing for a tragedy to be a freak accident. It's another when the suspect was literally in custody and handed back a get-out-of-jail-free card by the state.
Sheriff in Fairfax County could simply choose to honor ICE's detainer and hand over this individual to ICE, but the governor tonight is saying that ICE should take that extra step, overcome that extra hurdle, get a judicial warrant to hand over this individual. And this individual's name is Abdul Jalloh. He's accused of stabbing and killing Stephanie Minter of Fredericksburg at a Fairfax County bus stop in Hybla Valley. The U.S. Department of Homeland Security says Jalloh is an illegal alien from Sierra Leone who entered the U.S. illegally in 2012. We checked, and Jalloh's criminal history includes more than 30 arrests for more than 40 charges, including rape, malicious wounding, assault, drug possession, identity theft, trespassing, larceny, firing a weapon, contributing to the delinquency of a minor, and pickpocketing. A Fairfax County Commonwealth's attorney, Steve Descano, he dropped multiple charges against the man, allowing him to walk free.
It's absolutely unacceptable that after 40 offenses, including 5 malicious woundings and a rape, that you've got somebody like this on our streets. Somebody that just committed a crime in January. Assault and battery crime in January on our streets.
This individual is a menace to society, and Steve Descano has given him chance after chance to go out and wound people, terrorize communities, and now he took a life.
Here is the technical breakdown of the failure. ICE issued a detainer, which is basically a request for the local jail to hold the suspect so they can deport him. But the local authorities chose to ignore it. They required a judicial warrant, which adds a layer of bureaucracy that often allows these individuals to disappear, or in this case, commit another crime. It's a deliberate choice to stop cooperating with federal authorities. Look at the name, Abdul Jalloh. He's been here since 2012 and has spent over a decade racking up charges while the system just watched. It's mind-blowing that even after a rape charge and multiple assaults, the local prosecutors felt he deserved another chance. This highlights a massive gap between federal law and local ideology. The sheriff could have handed him over at any point, but the policy from the top down prevented that from happening. It's a policy that effectively prioritized a violent non-citizen over a tax-paying mother at a bus stop.
Weeks after Governor Spanberger chose to end the Commonwealth's cooperation with federal immigration authorities, a woman is dead, killed by someone who should never have been free to walk our streets. That's not a coincidence, that's a consequence. I've heard my colleagues across the aisle say they don't want ICE making arrests in public places. Well, fine. Then let's do the responsible thing, work with federal authorities to detain and remove violent criminals while they're already in custody. That is safer for our communities, it's safer for law enforcement, and it's far more the responsible approach. If anyone on the other side of the aisle concurs, they should vote no. Thank you.
We're seeing the fallout in the state legislature now. This delegate is calling it what it is, a consequence, not a coincidence. He's pointing out that when you end cooperation with federal immigration authorities, this is the predictable result. It's rare to see this much heat on the House floor, but the frustration is boiling over. They're trying to pass laws to force cooperation again because the current honor system isn't working. Notice how he mentions that it's safer for law enforcement to handle these handoffs while the suspect is already in custody. He's right. If you don't deport them while they're in jail, ICE has to go into the neighborhoods to find them later, which is way more dangerous for everyone involved. This clip shows that there is a massive internal battle happening within Virginia right now. The question is whether or not these legislative changes will come fast enough to prevent the next name from being added to that list of victims. If this story shocked you as much as it did me, hit that follow button. We need to keep the conversation going about real-world accountability. See you in the next one.